So today is our third chapter, nationalism in India. Nationalism means a feeling of pride and unity toward one's nation. Okay, our belonging nation, we are feeling of pride. Okay, we will proudly say that I am an Indian. Okay, I love my country. We all are saying this, yes or no? Because we feel proud for our country, because our country has given us too much. If necessary, it is also a feeling of sacrificing body. Do you know in the freedom fight, during the freedom movement, that many of our forefathers have sacrificed their life for the freedom, for the country, to make nation independent from the British rules. They sacrifice their life, their wealth, family. Okay, so that is why we also have to feel for that. Mind and wealth for the nation. We have to sacrifice body, mind, and wealth for the nation. The national awareness in India and its factors developed only after the first revolt of 1857. Okay, when the 1857 revolt was started. So the first time that people were became the aware about the nationalism. Okay, and in this 1857, the first martyrs of this freedom movement, Mangal Pandey. The origin of modern nationalism was first seen in the Europe. Okay, the modern nationalism means the peoples became the united and they became the rebellious against the ruling government. It is called the nationalism against the government bad policies. Various factors such as new awakening, religious reforms. Okay, in the previous chapter you have learned about the religious reforms in the Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Parsi. Many of the reforms have been made, which are the cruel tradition. American and French Revolution, Union of Italy and Germany, etc. So many of the factors were affected for this revolution, for the nationalism, like a new awakening, religious reform, American and French Revolution. Do you know America and the French? They were also slaved by the European countries. Okay, and they also became the independent from them. So these all played important role in propagation of nationalism in Europe. There was British rule in India. Before the 1947, that India was under the rule of the Britishers. As a result, acquaintance with the Britishers change were seen in the Indian political, social, religious, and economic fronts. Now, Britishers, this ruining policy of the Indian economy, okay, and also that Indians have many of changes in the political, social, religious, and economic fronts, and the various factors creating modern nationalism arose in India, and the many of the factors also creating modern nationalism, like Indians, extremist peoples were started the use of the bomb, revolver, gun. They also started the attacking and looting Britishers' treasuries. So this is modern nationalism. Okay, the belief, the thinking of them, what is ours, get it at anyhow. Okay, by hook or by crook. We felt that need of our own rule in our country, and that is self rule. Means in India we were the under the rule of the Britishers, under the rule of the foreigners. यानी कि हम हमारे ही देश में फॉरेन से आए हुए लोगों के नीचे जी रहे थे. And that is why that in our own rule that we need and that is called the self rule, यानी कि हमारा खुद का ही शासन होना चाहिए. Not the other countries people are come here and rule on us, on our. These thoughts spread in the minds of educated and intelligent people during the British rule in India. The feeling of national unity arose in the minds of people of India. And because of this, the people of India wanted to self-rule. So that time they did not think about the Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Sikh, Isai, Jain, Bodh, Parsi. They were think only and only about the self-rule. यानी कि हमारे देश पे हमारे देश का ही कोई रूलर्स होना चाहिए. Okay, as a president, as a prime minister, or as a king, whatever in any form. But it, he, she should be an Indian, not any foreigner. And that is the why the Indian people were united. Okay, and they arose their voice. They fight against the Britishers and their policies. So, dear students, we will study about the various factors that lead to the rise of nationalism in India. And in this chapter, we are going to learn about the different factors that lead to rise nationalism in India. Political. So these are the factors which are politically, which are the affected the nationalism, which spread the nationalism in India. So first is the political. So before the British rule in India, our country lacked politically unity. Okay. So while the Britishers were came to the India, so that time in Indians kings and Indian rulers, there was no any unity. Okay. They all were not united. Means whole India was divided into small and big princely states. Okay, for the same kingdoms, two brothers, two relatives were fighting for the throne. So there was a lack of unity in Indian political. India was divided into big and small states. The Britishers had defeated many kings and had established their rule over India. So we can see the students. The first war between the Indian and Britishers, Battle of Plassey. So that Indian ruler were defeated by the Britishers. So British were not defeat him their own, but they were defeat with the help of an Indian person, an Indian commander in chief, not by their own. So अगर ब्रिटिशर्स को किसी ने इंडिया में शासन करने के लिए अगर मौका दिया तो वो इंडियंस ने ही दिया है. So what was the result of that? Do you know, while that Mir Jafar became the Nawab of Bengal, after some year, he also became the threat for the Britishers, and he was also dethroned from his place. यानी कि उसको भी फिर उसकी स्टेज पे से निकाल दिया गया था. And then after, his son-in-law Mir Qasim was made Nawab of Bengal. So this is the Britishers were not belong to anyone. They just only came to India to prosper their country at the coast of the India. And Indian people, Britishers were not loyal to any Indian. Whatever Indians have done for them, Britishers ने Indians के लिए कुछ नहीं किया तो ना ही तो India के लिए उन्होंने कुछ किया. Whatever they have done for their benefit only. Okay. So under the dominance of the Britishers, a uniform administrative system was implemented. Overall experience of British rule was not conducive. Besides, there were many other reasons that lead to protest against the British rule. Slowly, this protest turned into aggression and become more powerful. Now, after the Battle of Buxar, British were established their rule on most of the regions of the India. And also they make their uniform administrative system implemented all over the India. But in the many of the regions, it was not conducive. The people were not satisfied with the British policy because the Indian farmers, Indian industrialists, Indian artisans, Indian traders, this all were become the unemployed, and their condition becomes the very worst. Okay, that is the reason against the British rule. The political. Second is the economic. Okay, so India was ruined due to the economic policy of Britishers. Okay, the British policy was, as I said, Britishers came to the India to make their country prosperous at the cost of Indian peoples and India. So that is the reason that India was ruined due to the economic policy of Britishers. The Britishers took the raw material from India to England, and then the finished manufactured goods were sold in Indian market. Now, what did the Britishers did? They took the raw material like a cotton, indigo, minerals. They took this raw material from the India, okay, and sent to the England. And in the England, there were the many of the industries were there, mills were there. So in their industries, they were manufactured the good from this raw material. And what is the goods were sold? What is the manufactured products they were sold in India? और फिर उसी को वो इंडिया में आके बेचते थे. Now they were buy very cheap raw material and they were sell very costlier manufactured goods to the Indian people. Now the duty on the manufactured good that came to India from England was negligible, while the commodities manufactured in India had to pay more duty and thus the Indian goods became more costlier. अब क्या होता था कि जो इंग्लैंड में जो चीजें बन के इंडिया में आती थी तो उस पर कोई टैक्स नहीं लगाया जाता था. There was no any tax. It was a free of cost. So this is the reason that England's goods were cheaper, while that which goods were manufactured in India. अब जो सामान इंडिया में बन रहा था, so there was they had to pay more duty, means they had to pay more taxes for the goods. So this is the reason that Indian goods became the expensive, यानी कि इंडिया में जो बनने वाली चीजें थी वो बहुत महंगी हो रही थी. So what is the reason? Which things will people buy then now? The costlier Indian goods or the cheaper Britishers England's goods? लोग कौन सी चीजें खरीदेंगे? Which is the cheaper, obviously. Second more thing also was there that Indian goods were manufactured by handmaids, okay, or in the small cottage industry, while the England and the British goods were manufactured in the industries, in the company, in the mill. So that is why the quality was very good. So this is also the reason that Indians too were by Britishers goods. And this is the reason that Indian market completely ruined. Because if you manufacture anything, but there is a no any seller are there, so that industries or whatever there is a company, it can be withstands against any other company. No, that is not possible. Okay, so that is why the goods manufactured in India could be sold at low price in India. In this cutthroat competition, the handicraft and cottage industry of India could not sustain themselves. Because of this very tough competition between the India and the Britishers, that Britishers goods were very cheaper and Indian goods were very costlier and expensive. So that is why that our Indian handicraft and the cottage industries could not sustain, could not withstand against the Britishers. As a result, the artisans class became unemployed. अब इसी वजह से जो हमारे कलाकार थे, शिल्प, पेंटर, weaver, the all the artisans become the unemployed. The British policy was to make England prosperous at the cost of Indian prosperity and Indian people, and thus national awareness arose in the people of India. And that is the reason there was a national awareness arose in the people of India. Okay, so this is economically. Third, transportation and telecommunication. Now, this facility were given by the Britishers. Transportation, telecommunication. They established this for their comfort, for their benefit. But this was become the boon for the Indian people. Let us see. The railway, telegraph, post, land, and water route, etc., were developed in India for military, economic, and political reason. Why? For the military means if any conflict, any revolt arose in any region of the India, so the Britishers can send very easily army there by the sea route, by the land route, by the railway, and also from one place to another place they can send message very easily and very speedy. So any revolt they can suppress very speedily. This was the reason, and for their hello, students, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this is the reason they were started railway, telegraph, post, land, and water. So still it had some advantages for Indians. Now this all the new reforms which were done by the Britishers, this was also become the advantages for the Indian. Due to speedy development of these facilities, people came closer to each other. Now Indians also became the aware about the world, what is happening in the world. Okay, the mobility of artist and business class increased and they started exchanging thought and the opinion. Now the artist and the business class people they were increased and they exchange their thoughts and the opinion with each other due to increased communication, the discrimination discrimination of caste, community, and reason become the less. Now while this communication was started, so the discrimination of caste यानी कि जो जात नात के जो भेदभाव थे वो कम हो गए. कम्युनिटी एंड रीजन बिकेम लेस यानी कि जो समाज था जो धर्म के जो भेदभाव थे दैट आल्सो बिकेम द लेस बिकॉज communication became the spread. The national leaders could spread their thought and plans to more number of people around them. Okay, now the national leaders, peoples also they can spread their thoughts and their plans about the revolt also to the more number of people around them very easily. Leadership was built at national level instead of regional level. This gave a notable contribution in the achievement of Swaraj. So in the 1857, why the first revolt was started in the India. So that time that leadership was at only the regional level. Means in the 1857, the revolutionaries they were not fight to make free India from the British rule, but they were fought for to make their region free from the British rule. यानी कि सिर्फ खुद का रीजन था लाइक बालासिनोर. सो बालासिनोर में जो लोग हैं सिर्फ बालासिनोर को ही आजाद कराने के लड़ेंगे. दे विल नॉट फाइट फॉर द होल इंडिया. So that is why in which region this revolt was started, that was suppressed by the British very easily. But while the communication was started, transportation was started, now the leadership also arose at the national level. And this also give a very notable contribution in the achievement of the Swaraj. Number four is the literature and education. This was also very important. So the rise of Indian nationalism also owes its credit to English education. The doors to Western culture opened up due to the education. Now, in that time, for Indian, that was the most important to learn the English and the English education, because then they could understand that what is the policy of the Britishers. Okay, and because of this literature and education, the doors of the Western culture opened due to this education. Most of the literature in world was in English. Okay, यानी कि बहुत ज्यादा जो literature है वो English में ही बने हुए हैं. The people of our country learned English language and became familiar with the recent trend of the world. And while the Indian people learned English language, so then they were new, and then they become the familiar for the recent trends of the world. यानी कि दुनिया में भी क्या हो रहा है उसके बारे में पता चला. Then they were knew that China became the free from the British rule. So India also were thought, if the China can independent from the British rule, so why we can't? हमें भी ब्रिटिशर्स को हमारे देश से भगाना चाहिए. Then the awareness about the freedom were spread more after the getting the English education. Thus, we were inspired about freedom, equality, and brotherhood from French Revolution and about democracy from European freedom movement. And after this, we also became the inspired about the freedom, about the unity, about the brotherhood. Do you know, during the freedom fight, Indian people were unitedly fought against the Britishers. But while India became the free independence, then there was a conflict start between the communities. Okay, it was also seats also were shown partition of India and the Pakistan by the Britishers. Okay, this also you'll be going to learn about in the ninth and 10th standard about that, how that India was partitioned. Faith of oneself increased and people started imagining about the bright future for India. Various novels, act, stories, poems, songs, acts, etc. were written in our regional language. This written literature gave the message of national unity and the devotion. And while the Indians became the literate, then they were think about the bright future of India. They also were amazing. And then various novels were written, act, stories, poem, songs. These were written in our regional language. Okay, and this literature also had given the message of national unity and the devotion. Then also the number fifth factor, newspaper. That newspaper also play a very important role to spread awareness about the nationality, about the nationalism. Let us see. And that time, this is the one newspaper, the Hindu newspaper. The newspaper made a vital contribution in the spreading national awareness. The newspaper published from Bengal, Mumbai, Madras, and other areas criticized the policies of Britishers, and it awakened nationalistic feelings of the heart of people. And by this newspaper, which was published from the Bengal, Mumbai, Madras, and other areas, they were criticized British policies, and also they awakened nationalistic feelings in the heart of the Indian people. Then magnificent heritage of India, number 6. Ancient archaeologist Alexander Cunningham and his assistant did the spade work at many ancient places. They discover many fossils depicting the pride of Indian culture. Indian archaeologists like Bhagwan Lal Indraji also discovered many fossils and made Indian fields the pride of our magnificent Indian culture. The scholars from the West also try to find a lot about Indian culture and heritage. Indian scholars were also associated with them in this search. Many books were also written on account of the literature and various research done. This aroused the feeling of national oneness and the unity. So this is our Indian heritage, which was found out by the archaeologist. This was also spread feeling of national oneness and unity in the people. Many of the books also were written on the account of the literature and the voice researches. Okay. Max Muller, Wilson, Ferguson, Butler, Fleet, and other Indian scholars like Rajendra Lal Mitra, Ramakrishna Ji, Bhandarkar, Hariprasad Shastri, etc. wrote various articles, and their writing made the people realize the significance the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the Gita, the Smriti Puran. Okay, means not just only the Indian writers, but the many of the British and the foreigner writers, the scholars also were low to the Indian literature like Vedas, Upanishads, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Gita, and Smriti Puran. Now, establishment of Indian National Congress. So the above stated factor and the other regional organization had contributed the establishment of Indian National Congress. So this is above factors that we can see. They also played a role to establishment of the Indian National Congress, means first political party of India. Now like more than 2-3 thousand parties are in India. इंडिया में कि 2 से 3 हजार जितनी पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज होगी बट द फर्स्ट इंडियन पॉलिटिकल पार्टी वाज द INC which was created for the independence of India to make India independent from the British rule. INC, Indian National Congress. So for your knowledge here you can see the regional organization prior in the Indian National Congress. So where the Indian National Congress organizations were held. So Bengal British Indian Society, Kolkata, Bombay Association, Mumbai, Madras National Sabha, Chennai, Sarvajanik Sabha, Pune, then Indian Association, Kolkata. Means these are the regional organization prior in Indian National Congress. So when the British officers A.O. Hume, this is the A.O. Hume, retired, he had realized that the British Empire was not really secure as it appeared. While the A.O. Hume, the British officers while he was retired from the his post. So that time he realized that British Empire is not secure as it is appear. यानी कि ब्रिटिश एम्पायर जैसे दिख रहा है वैसे सिक्योर नहीं है. Okay, so he was of the opinion the if the dissatisfaction among the people will not be reduced, यानी कि जो लोग अभी dissatisfied है because of the British policy, if this dissatisfaction if will not reduce, then this aggression, this aggression, okay, will be increased more and more, and maybe some one day this will be the out of control. So there were many chance to recurrence of revolt similar to that which will happen in 1857. Okay, and he also realized so there is a many of the chances that is also recurs, okay, recurrence the revolt similar that was happened in the 1857 AD. In order to prevent aggression of people, he thought of establishment constitutional organization, and to decrease the people's aggression, people dissatisfaction, he thought for establishment for constitutional organization that is called the INC. Means if there is a any Indian political party, so the people will directly talk with to the Indian political party and they will solve the problems, dissatisfaction, and the aggression of the people by the negotiation, not by the revolt. Okay, so that is the why this AO Hume thought to establish Indian National Congress. So immediately Viceroy Dufferin was made and understand this, and he also supported AO Hume's view point. Students, can you see? आपको दिख रहा है ये सब? Can you
Yes,
read this?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So he also understood and support the AO Hume's viewpoint. With the effort of AO Hume, Indian National Congress was established in December 1885. Indian National Congress established in the 1885 under the leadership of Vyomesh Chandra Banerjee. व्योमेश चंद्र बनर्जी की लीडरशिप में दिसंबर 1885 में इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस वाज established. The first conference was held on 28th December 1885 in Gokuldas Tejpal Sanskrit School of Mumbai. And the first conference, first meeting, it was held on 28th December 1885 in Gokuldas Tejpal Sanskrit School of Mumbai. About 72 representatives from different states of India were present in this conference. And about 72 representatives were present in this conference. The main leaders present in the conference were Dadabhai Nauroji, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Firoz Shah Mehta, Badruddin Tayyabji, K.T. Telang, okay, Dinka Vacha, etc. Many problems related to the nations were discussed. And in this conference, the many problems which were related to the nation, they were discussed in this region. Here you can see the Indian National Congress first conference, which was held in the Sanskrit School, Mumbai, 28th December 1885. This also you can see the Indian representative from the different states of the India. This also you should know, the conference, second conference was held in the Kolkata, and the President Dadabhai Nauroji in the second year 1886, and that time 432 members. In the first conference there was 72 members. In the second conference, 432 members. Third conference was held in Madras. Badruddin Tayyibji was the president of this conference. It was held in 1887, and that time 607 members of this conference. Okay, students, here is the I'm going to wind up my class.